Welcome to everybody again to TracSport Garage with Vic and Steve. I'm Steve Granke.
And I'm Vic Simone.
Today, we're going to talk about customers and others that think they know how to fix cars and they don't need us, experienced techs, to diagnose because they know what's wrong with their vehicle. Now, Vic, you must have had many people over the years that second guess you and they don't want you to diagnose the car because they think they know how to do it themselves. I think there was one about brakes.
Yeah, I did tell you one a while back, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that. Okay, let me just get my thoughts back together on this, Steve. So, yes. So, there was a vehicle. It was a Dodge Caravan, I think it was. And a few years ago. And I had quoted for a brake job. And I think it was like $400 at the time. New pads and rotors on the back. And I think the customer said, well, that's a little too much. I'll do it myself. My son and I can do it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't understand how people think they can just do this and not understand how these pistons even go back on the back. You have to screw them in, right? You have to have special tools, right? Anyways, I think it was like 3 days later, he comes walking in the front of the shop there in the office and he goes, hi, I'd like you to do my brakes for me, he says. And I go, okay, so why don't you get the vehicle brought over here? We'll do it tomorrow. He says, oh no, it's here right now, he says. I said, well, where is it? It's down at the end of the parking lot. And I said, what do you mean it's down at the end of the parking lot? Well, we tried doing it ourselves and we couldn't. So we brought it over to you. I go, what do you mean? Anyways, he goes, well, we couldn't do it. So we tied the calipers up on the coil spring and brought it over. I said, so you had no brakes coming here because the pistons must have popped out somewhere on Mulock Drive in Yonge Street.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even know how he got to the shop, Steve. It was almost through a fence at the other end of the plaza. You understand? That's just dangerous. So now the brake job went from $400 to about $800 with new calipers and everything else, right? And it could have needed a master cylinder. Thank goodness it didn't. Yeah. But yeah, so, sometimes the do-it-yourself thing, or you think you can do it better or cheaper, sometimes costs you more. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of them. I'm sure you got some.
Well, I got one similar, and it was with a Nissan Leaf.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And there was rear brakes, and they have the parking brake motor that's attached to the caliper.
Yeah. The Nissan Leaf is the complete electric car.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, we were too much money, just like that guy with the Caravan. We were too much money, so he's going to do it himself. Well, he completely destroyed the calipers because on those electric calipers, you need to have a scanner tool that you have to induce a signal to retract the motor for the
parking brake.
For the parking brake.
Yeah, that's right.
So that you're able to squeeze the piston back.
Correct.
If not, it won't go back.
That's right. And that's that's on a lot of vehicles now since the early 2017 or so.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Anyway. He destroyed them. Like I can't even explain what he did, but like everything was broken on it.
How?
I don't know if he was I don't know what he was using, C clamps or something. Desperately tried to squeeze the piston back, and he ended up busting the whole motor.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So it ended up costing him way more because somehow he wedged it on there. I don't know how. So he destroyed the new rotors he put on. Just driving it back to the dealership.
Holy smokes!
So and his tires told me you probably need to do tires because he dragged the tires. He dragged the back tires on the ground all the way to the dealership.
He actually drove it to the dealer, not towed it.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
I mean that's
anyway. So he needed 2 tires, 2 calipers, new rotors, and new pads. So
what was that winding up to?
Oh, it was over $2,000 because the calipers themselves were like $800 a piece.
Oh my
So
God.
There's another instance that maybe sometimes you should let the professional do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've run it. I mean, right now, and I've noticed there's a lot of changes in brakes. I mean, I know now on a lot of the new vehicles, and theoretically you're supposed to do this with every brake job. You're supposed to open up the bleeder, put your hose on there into your bleeding can, and then push the piston back in.
Right.
Right? You're supposed to do that every brake job. Well, now on the new vehicles, you have to, or you're going to ruin the master cylinder. You're going to cause so much damage in the ABS system that it's going to cost a fortune to repair.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of things now that you have to look at and be updated with. You can't just do a brake job anymore without not going to the manual.
Yeah.
Okay? And a lot of people think they can in their backyards.
I know.
I just don't get it. Like, I mean, I've had people come in with their check engine lights on. And I say, do you want me to look at it or anything like that? I'll just take a quick scan. I won't even charge you for it. And they say, oh, no, it's just a loose gas cap. I'm going, oh, man. Why is it that the check engine light's on and the first code that comes up, it says loose gas cap on its first run, correct?
Yes.
On a lot of vehicles.
Yeah, it shows it on their display. It says loose gas cap.
So then the check engine light comes on. So they figure it's a loose gas cap, and they've tightened it, they've replaced it, and I get that all the time. I replace the gas cap, and the light's still on. I go, yeah, but it's not your gas cap. See, this is what the manufacturer puts in the vehicle so that you go check and make sure it's on, right? There's actually diagnosis needed now, because you probably have an evaporative small leak or something like that, that theoretically you're losing fuel vapors into the atmosphere, right? You've run into that.
Yeah.
And so there's no big deal after that, right? They go, okay, well, I figured out that. We'll just leave it at that. Then we got the guy that comes in with the diagnostic tool plugged into their phone.
Yeah, I know.
Looks like I need a rear O2 sensor. I go, what do you mean? I need my scanner tells me. The code comes up for a rear O2 sensor. Okay, which bank? Oh, it doesn't tell me that. Which side, left or right? Okay, have you diagnosed it? Do you want me to check it before you want me to change it? No, it says I just need a rear O2 sensor. Okay, the code says PO whatever / circuit. It's either the part or the circuit. You need to check it, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it's just replace parts. It's not that all the time. What else have you run into like that?
Well, the same thing. You get a rear O2 sensor code because there's something wrong with your catalytic converter.
Well, yeah, right. Or you got an exhaust leak that's so small.
Yeah.
It's
and sometimes the front O2 sensor,
yeah,
like the air fuel mixture ratio sensor, is actually the problem causing the code for the rear O2 sensor. But you have to do a bunch of checks for that.
That's right. You mean the lambda sensor? Lambda.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the technical name for it, Steve. What is the sketchometric ratio again? Was it 14.7 pounds of air to 1 pound of fuel? Right?
Yeah, 14.7.
So that's what that sensor's trying to monitor, to make sure that you're not burning so much fuel. Stoichiometric ratio. Yes, that was in the book. Remember that, Steve?
Yes, I do remember that vaguely.
Okay, so I got the other one too, where I had a customer come in and says, well, I've changed everything I can possibly think of. I think I need a computer. I go, what? Who is this? Where did you come from?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that happens, right? But how many times have you theoretically, or how many times have you actually had a computer not go for a certain misfire? Like, say the engine was misfiring. Yeah. How often?
Oh,
it's
hardly never.
Right? I had it once, and it was a misfire. Code came in for a P0304. It was a 4-cylinder car. And this code, honestly, it really was the computer. The actual driver was gone for the ignition coil, right? Yeah. But I mean, I tried everything. I'm going, oh my God. I checked the resistance. It's all good. The wiring's all good. There's nothing left. I have to change the computer with a good known one, right? And you know what it's like now to change a computer? You got to go through hell.
Yes.
Right? You got to recode this. You got to reflash this and do this and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, let's see if it works. And sure enough, it worked.
Yeah.
But it was just a pain.
Yeah, I had one on it kept on coming up O2 sensor, but there was nothing wrong with the O2 sensor. The wiring was good. The O2 sensor was working properly, but ECM just kept on firing this code.
Yeah.
So I ended up changing the ECM.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Right. And how often does that happen?
That's so how many rare.
Years?
That's rare.
40 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what else you got?
I get guys that want to change their own spark plugs. They break the spark plug in the head, and then it's a disaster.
Yeah, is that when they're trying to take them out, or when they're tightening them?
When they're trying to take them out.
Oh.
Instead of
they don't realize
that there's a way of getting them out. It's a long process, but
there is a way.
But there's
patience.
Lots of patience.
Yeah, I hate that, but sometimes it happens. There's a lot of vehicles where the spark plugs do break like that. I've had guys actually put in air filters and actually disconnect their airflow meters when they're doing it and don't realize it.
Yeah.
They come in, the check engine lights on, they can't get past 2400 RPM, and they didn't realize that they just disconnected that connector that little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Then we've had the few where, I don't know, where they've had work done, even from guys that do know what they're doing, and still have an issue. right? And that really bothers me too, right? It just happens.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Like, no one's perfect.
No.
And when something is actually pointing right to it, that this is the problem, when it's not, you're really scratching your head sometimes. What this,
Yeah. Well, I remember I had one vehicle when we were back in the Mississauga area.
Yeah.
I had that dealer, and they dropped it off for me, and it was one of those ones I had to fix.
Oh, this is the one from Nissan.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It was one of the ones I had to fix.
Nissan Canada.
Yeah, and they dropped it off, and the guys came and explained to me everything. We sat down in the office, said, "This is what's going on with this vehicle. It's got a long crank, it's got a raw fuel smell, and the idle is unstable." Right?
I'm just going to have a drink of my beer. Go ahead.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah, enjoying that. I see. Anyways, I remember checking it over. I go, "Yep, long crank, all right." Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a long crank, and I'm before it fires up, you smell raw fuel come out the tailpipe. So I'm going, okay. So I start looking at all the work that's been done on this car. I think it went to 3 other dealers, and I'm the last guy to work on this thing now.
Yeah.
I got to fix this, right? And it was around Christmas time, I think, and we were going to our Christmas party.
Yeah,
Right?
I remember. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So here we are. I'm checking this car over. And they said to me, "This is our card. If you need anything, phone this number, and we'll deliver whatever you need." I go, "Oh my God, 24-hour service here." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So here we are at the Christmas party. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And I had called at about 9 o'clock that evening. I said, "I need this, this, and this. I need a fuel pressure gauge. I want some injector seals." And I can't remember. There was a couple of tools I needed for the injectors. Right?
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night, we're sitting at the party, and somebody comes up to me, "Are you Vic Simone?" I go, "Yeah, there's a package for you at the front desk." What? And it was everything that I ordered. So I managed to get we got out of the party there, went back home on the Sunday, right? And I put the fuel gauges on, crimped off the lines. Yep, it's dumping, the whole rail is dumping into one cylinder somewhere, right? Like, I pinched off the feed, I pinched off the return, and then I pulled all 4 spark plugs out. And I was like, okay, let me crank the motor. And I'd seen this fluid hit the hood out of cylinder number 2. You know what I mean? So I wound up taking out the fuel rail and then pulling the injector out, and found out there was a seal on it, but it was the wrong seal to seal off the bottom of the rail.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the new seals that they gave me. Actually, they sent me injectors too, so I just put a whole new injector in with a seal and replaced it, put it back down, start up the car again, did my tests, right? And went, okay, good. That, I'll check it after I went to another party. You know what I mean? While the thing's out in my driveway.
Yeah.
And I come back, the rail's holding pressure now. No more leak, right? That's out of the way. The long crank now, I got to find out what this long crank is. So the long crank,
you're fixing other people's screw ups.
It just happens,
until you
right?
come to the root of what the real problem was to start with.
Exactly. So
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
figured out the chain reaction here, or the way it works is there was an update on a ground they had to do for the mass airflow sensor. And it
Oh
was
yeah, I
a
remember that one. Yeah.
So apparently, when they were doing the repair, they blew a fuse. So they took this spare fuse they thought was in the fuse box and put it in that fuse for whatever circuit it was with the mass airflow and O2 sensors and what have we, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going, okay, I'm cranking this thing, and I must be missing a start signal, right? There's a fuse in the fuse box that says start.
Yeah.
And it only will ignite or light up when you're cranking the engine.
That's right.
And what that does is sends an extra signal to the ECU to enrich in the mixture for startup, right? For
Yeah.
for everything to happen, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I saw that was missing. So I took a spare fuse and put it in there. Now I got rid of the long crank in a matter of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Now I'm slowly getting this fixed. So now we've got the long crank is gone. The vehicle starts up. There's no more fuel smell. But I got a big problem because it's a Sunday and I'm at my house.
Yeah.
So come Monday, I take another vehicle. I go to, I think it was CarQuest in town. I buy some oil and a filter. And I do an oil change in my driveway to bring it back to the dealer in Mississauga,
Yeah.
right? Because I didn't want to have a problem with the engine because there was that much fuel
Yeah,
in the oil,
that's right.
right? So we
Yeah.
managed to fix all this and on a weekend, right?
Yeah.
The thing of what I'm trying to get at is sometimes we can cause our own problems when we're repairing a car. Like I tell a lot of people, go back to where you were working because that's probably where the problem is. Like you have a lot of vehicles come in, it was running fine until I did this. Well, then go back to that
Yeah.
Don't start looking at other stuff, right? I mean, I'm sure you've run into a few things like that yourself. Like it's just they'll change a ball joint, all of a sudden there's a knocking noise, right? And you go, what's going on? The new ball joint's no good, right? Yeah. I've run into that so many times.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that one there was a good learning experience for me because it was just unbelievable how much stuff went wrong from one repair, and all of a sudden it went to an injector, to, you know what I mean, to coils, to spark plugs, to everything, when it was started off as just a simple update, and it went totally wrong.
Yeah.
Right? 3 different dealers.
When it's all it was to run the extra ground for the mass airflow sensor, and then orchestrate it from there.
It just went from there.
Yeah.
It went nuts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've had so many different. I had another vehicle that came in, and it was an Altima, and I remember all my technical bulletins. I remember technical bulletins, right? Remember that extra program technical bulletins?
Yeah.
And this one was driving on the highway. All of a sudden, the car just starts to buck and backfire and wants to lose power and all this stuff, right? And this guy had been to I don't know how many dealers. This is when I opened up the shop, so the car was no longer under warranty or anything like that. And he took it to a shop. They changed the timing chain. They did all this stuff, and it's still doing it. I'm going, my God. I said, like, timing chain has nothing to do with this. You know, you're driving on the highway, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I got to drive on the highway and actually got to experience it. I finally felt what he was talking about, right? It took a day to get this to happen, right? So I'd be driving out like to King City and back on the 400 and what have we. And then finally I said, let me get out my bulletins, technical bulletins. So something's weird. And sure enough, I found something that described it in a technical bulletin. And it was the harness where it runs over the wiper motor area underneath the firewall cowl cover rubs, and it can cause the vehicle to hesitate. Right? Yeah. So I looked, I found that harness. And I see it's been rubbing on the frame. Right? Take the harness up, pull the wires apart, make sure there's no problem, tape everything back up, never had a problem again. So, I mean, I charged that fella, I think, to cover my time, $200.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, he had spent $5,000 and $6,000 everywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know you run into a lot of stuff like that, too.
So it's hard for the customers to trust a mechanic sometimes when, you know, it's like every other job. You get good carpenters, you get good plumbers, you get good doctors, and you get shit doctors, which I've run into a lot of shit doctors, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Holy smokes. Holy shit.
So customers, if you're listening, you really have to research and try to find a good mechanic. I know a good mechanic. 2 of them right here.
You think so, Steve? You know, if you find one, let me know.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know.
Yeah. That's what we used to say all the time.
Anyways, you know, talk to friends, family, whatever, and all that stuff. But most of the time, the technicians out there, when they're doing work on your car, they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. Don't screw around and try doing things yourself sometimes, especially if you're not really sure of yourself. You know, like you can go on YouTube and try to learn it, but if something goes wrong, then what are you going to do? And then how are you going to get the car? You know, you're going to tow it. You know, so sometimes you just got to have trust in the people that are doing the job.
Yeah. I mean, we've had it where guys have done all their suspension work on cars, and like we used to specialize really in our setup on alignments and stuff like that too at the shop. And we had guys do their own setup, like they did their control arms, their ball joints, their tie rod ends, and all this stuff. And so we take it that they've done everything right. So my guy will go out on a road test, which we learned a lesson after this. He went on a road test, and both front wheels fell off the car. You know what I mean? We didn't even think to test that.
Could have been killed.
He could have been killed. Thank goodness he was basically almost at a stoplight, and they just both popped off, both front wheels. And he said, we left those loose thinking that you guys would tighten them after you do the alignment. That doesn't make any sense.
What the hell? Yeah.
You drove the car over to our shop. You know what I mean? So we learned a big lesson when somebody does it, the do-it-yourselfer, and wants an alignment. I tell the guys, before you go take this thing for a test drive, you make sure everything's tight on that vehicle, right? That was the big lesson we learned.
Yeah.
You know, but that happens, and even from other shops when we got alignments, same thing. Wheels are falling off as soon as they brought them over. Crazy.
Well, I know they were trying to implement something with that. If you didn't have a license, a mechanic's license, you couldn't buy parts.
I don't think you should be able to buy brakes. Honestly, I don't think somebody who doesn't have any type of, I guess you can't even say mechanical background. You got to say a mechanic's or apprentice certificate.
Yeah.
They should not be allowed to buy brake parts over the counter. I don't understand. I don't get it. I can't go to the doctor's office and say, "No, just give me those drugs, or they're mine." Right? You can't do that at the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Right? That's a prescription. Right? I'm going to prescribe my own drugs here.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Right? But you're right. And you said you heard something of this?
Yeah, they were talking about it, but then you know, like the parts places like Canadian Tire and all that stuff, they would
They'd go out of business.
Yes, they would go out of business.
Do it yourselfer. Well, I just don't.
But
they can do their own spark plugs.
But sometimes, you know, you think that someone doesn't know what they're doing, and they're doing their own brakes. Well, they're only putting their life in their own hands, but somebody else's life on the road where they could smash into. You know,
it's everybody. If they're putting their lives at risk, their families' lives at risk, and everybody around them at risk.
Right.
But how many times? Okay, this sounds funny, but guys do their own brake jobs too.
Yeah.
And they put the pads in backwards so the metal is on the metal. Instead of the actual, the friction material that's on the friction material. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had that come in. I don't laugh about it. I found that to be the most dangerous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because now I do remember one vehicle come in, and it was a Dodge Neon. Okay, we're talking old here.
Yeah.
And they had a brake job done at one of those reputable exhaust shops, with the lifetime warranty on the brake pads and all that. She'd been back 5 times because her car doesn't stop properly. You understand?
Right.
And I go, okay, let me go for a drive with you. Oh my God, the light turned yellow. I couldn't even stop. This is a Dodge Neon. It should be able to stop on a dime.
Yeah.
I'm pushing this brake pedal as hard as I can. I can't stop this car. And they told her it's normal. I said, this is not normal. I said, you should go back and no, I've been back 5 times, she says. I need you to fix my car for me. I can't do this anymore. I'm a nervous wreck, she says.
Right.
Right. And I feel for her. You know what I mean? So I get the car in the shop, and I said, what did they tell you it needed? Well, they said I need a brake booster. So I test the brake booster. I pump up the brake pedal.
Yeah.
I start it up, drops. I'm going, well, there's nothing wrong with this brake booster. It's working.
Yeah.
Right? So then I said, look, I'm going to tell you something. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to install my brake pads and rotors that I use every day because I think it's just the friction material. It's not working.
Yeah.
And so she said, okay, whatever you think. I don't care what it costs. Right? And it was, it's just a regular brake job at that time. 4-wheel brake job. So I put all our parts on. I go out for a drive. The car stops on a dime. It's just a regular, average brake pads and rotors that I use every day.
Well, what was in it? What did they have in there?
I have no idea. I remember seeing a special on a lot of these house brand pads. You could buy a set of brake pads for $10, but you're not going to stop your car with that.
Oh.
It must be the material they're putting in there. So I wound up just doing a brake job. Nothing else. No bleeding, no nothing. Just a brake job. And now the car would stop. I don't understand that. I don't know what kind of material they're putting in there. I have no idea. Isn't that something?
Who are the jokers that said it was normal?
That's what I don't understand, because they were saying it's normal. It's not normal. You can't stop this car. And then we had another, I just got some recent customers now with a Hyundai, and they were going to one of our big conglomerates too for service. And they tell them, every time they went in for an oil change, look, I got this knocking noise in my front end and this and that. Oh, it's normal. Don't worry about it. It's normal. A knocking noise is normal. And I'm like, oh man, okay. So they come to me, and now I check it over. The ball joints are falling out of this. The control arm bushings are gone. The outer tire ends are gone. The wheel bearings are gone in the front. And this has been going on for 2 years. You understand? It's been going on for 2 years. So I got to give them the bad news. You need all this stuff. They were so thankful and said, please fix everything because I need it fixed. Right? They're driving 100 kilometers a day, basically. 50 kilometers one way, 50 kilometers back.
Yeah.
So I fixed it all up. Now they've been coming to me now for the last 2 years, right? With all their vehicles. Not just one, but many more.
Yeah.
And they're telling their friends, which is nice, right? So I'm happy about that, but I think I saved them from getting into a big accident. When you can move a wheel 2 inches, and the ball joint, you can see it popping out and in.
Yeah.
That's an issue. right?
You think?
Yeah, I still remember this one. I had a customer come in that needed ball joints. And they said, no. I said, look, they're going to fall out. You take it to your mechanic, and you must have your own mechanic. I said, you deal with it. They came to my shop for something. Can't remember what it was, for an inspection that was on the house, for whatever it was. We had some specials going on when we were at the big shop in a coupon book. Never again. Because you wind up getting the worst cars coming in that you've ever seen, that you can't even lift on a hoist because the frames are rotten.
Yeah.
So like this one here had ball joints falling out of it. And I said, please take it to your mechanic and get it fixed. Okay, I will. I said, how far away is your mechanic? Well, they're in Markham. I said, you need to tow this thing. I wouldn't be driving it. So they went to drive it. They got down the street over the train tracks and the ball joint fell out. Thank goodness it was on a straightaway and it wasn't a slow speed. Or it was a high speed.
Yeah.
It was nice and slow. Less than 60 an hour.
Yeah.
And the ball joint fell out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now they got to get it towed on the side of the road. They probably got more damage and everything else when they could have fixed it when it was at the shop. Because I wouldn't let them drive it. But you can't stop anybody from driving their vehicles even though it's unsafe.
Right.
I don't think there's any law that says we can do that.
No, there was, and I know they tried to implement that too as well. But back in the 90s,
Yeah.
where mechanic says, well, you can't drive it. If you don't get the car fixed like right here, then you got to get a tow truck and tow it away, tow it from here because I can't let you drive it.
I don't remember that.
And
everybody told me they could do it, but I don't think it's law.
and so people were there were some places that were doing that, but then they found out you shouldn't have been doing that because it was never passed and never passed as a bill or anything
Really?
like that. So that never happened.
Yeah.
But I think it should. If a car comes in and the ball joints are hanging off the thing, and say, you know what, you're not driving this car. You can take the car.
Oh yeah.
But you're taking it on a tow truck. You're not.
Yeah. No, I do remember you had one at the dealership, a Pathfinder. I remember that. It was the funniest one I've ever seen. Remember that? You had it. We laughed our heads off. His ball joints are falling out. The brakes were worn out. But God forbid the AC didn't work. Remember that?
Yeah.
You had to fix the air conditioning.
I fixed the air conditioning. He didn't want to fix the stuff that could save his life.
That was the best, man. I remember that. Oh,
well, I had one that he drove the brakes so gone that the car was stopped by the piston of the caliper because the pads were gone. They weren't even in. They were gone. They fell right out. Yeah. So what had happened is that the piston had cocked out sideways and all the fluid pissed out.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't really have a very good brake pedal and it's making noise. So I go to drive it in and I'm going, oh my God, like the noise, it was crazy. So when I took it apart and I saw this, I go, but this had to be making noise like months before.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, it never made a noise. And I'm going, oh, come on, there's no way.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. It happened to me. Here I'm driving my vehicle. All of a sudden, I hear this coming from the back. I go, what? I didn't even get a warning. I got metal to metal.
Yeah.
It's like the sensor broke or something.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, geez.
No, but Vic, there was no pads in the bracket. It was stopping from the piston hitting the rotor.
That had to make
and it grounded. You had to put calipers on, obviously, because it grounded the piston up.
Yeah.
And so he's been stopping with this thing with the piston for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it never fell out until then. That was so bizarre. Why didn't it fall right out of the caliper and all?
Well, speaking of that, I'm trying to figure this one out. The guy had, 20-inch wheels on his vehicle. And he came in, no brake pedal. Another car, no brake pedal, right? And I went, holy smokes, okay. So I went out, stepped on the brake pedal, it was right down on the floor. Okay, well, I can't drive this thing. His caliper came off, lifted off so high that the piston popped out and the caliper sat back in its spot again. How's that possible?
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He said it's just driving along. I go, you can see nobody's touched the car.
Yeah.
How? Do you think the bolts are gone? Everything's gone. Like for the caliper. Like how did they just back off when I don't even know who this guy was?
Yeah.
Right? Can you help me? So I'm still trying to fit. To this day, there must have been that much of a gap for that caliper to lift, right? For the piston to pop out and drop back in again.
Yeah.
Wild, right? You just shake your head. I had another car come in where the front left wheel was grinding. He said, right? So I go for a road test, not doing anything. Everything feels fine. And then I go out again, nothing. You know, I'm with the customer, so let's go out together. So we pick the same noise, right? So I get back to the shop, and I just take a look at his wheel through the rim. Oh, the caliper's sitting up a little bit. The actual caliper bolt, one of the caliper bolts broke off. So I guess when he hit the brakes one time, the caliper flung up and hit the rim.
Yeah.
Right? And it started that grinding, and then it popped back down. So I brought it in the shop, and I ordered new pins and got him new bolts. And I had to rebalance the wheel because it tore the wheel weight off. Like it hit that hard, but there was no damage to the caliper. It was just enough to rub the weight off. Like it's moving. So, yeah. Weird stuff, eh?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just going to run one more story of a customer, and then we'll probably call it a day. But this was...
No, Steve, I want to hear more. No, I'm just...
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Yeah? Okay. Well, anyways, a guy comes in, replace my battery.
Okay.
So I said, okay. So I went to go get the car. It's dead. I have to boost it.
Yeah, just
right?
replace the battery.
So I go to boost it, and sure, car starts.
Yeah.
As soon as I take the booster off, it dies.
I think
I go, okay.
Yeah.
I think we got a little more problem than this,
Yeah.
than just a battery here. I think an alternator is not charging. But anyway, so I go back to the guy and I said, listen, do you want me to diagnose this, because it's not even taking a boost. Like I boost it, I can start. As soon as I take it off, it quits. He goes, yeah, because I have a little booster pack and I just leave it on. And I go, yeah, but that just kills your booster pack. But okay.
Hold on.
He goes, no, just change your battery. I just want the battery changed. I said, okay.
Now this got past the service advisor like this too. They didn't even try and tell the guy he needs to diagnose this. I guess not.
No, because the service advisor, I guess the guy just says, I just want the battery replaced.
That's it.
I don't want to diagnose nothing.
Oh,
so
boy.
Anyway, so I go, okay, fine, I'll throw a battery at it. So I put a battery in the thing. I said, I don't think I think your alternator's not charging. He goes, no, I'm pretty sure it's the battery. Okay, you know more better than me, I guess. So off he goes. Well, guess what? It's back on the hook. On the hook of the tow truck the next day, and then I got to put an alternator in it.
There you go.
So, please, people out there, listen to the technicians. They've been doing it for so many years. Like I said before, me and Vic between the two of us, we had 80 years experience. We've been working cars all the time. We know what we're talking about. Most of the time, anyway. And so have some trust in when a mechanic tells you need this or you need some diagnosis. Don't try to diagnose things yourselves, because it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out well for you at the end.
No, we've had it happen too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true, man.
Anyways, I guess we'll just call this a day. Finish my beer, and hope to talk to you people out there again on our next episode.
All right.
All right. Ciao.
Ciao.